Hello everyone, my name is Chris, the co-founder of Player Beer Drama Company, and this is the second of a series of videos that we're doing looking at storytelling. So in the last video we were thinking about the power of our voices and how we can use that to draw people in and get them to engage with the story. But today what we want to think about is how we can make a story interactive, so that people aren't just sitting listening to it, but they're joining in some ways and participating. And there's a really simple way of doing that that we're going to look at today, and that is called action stories. And these are stories that do what it says in the tin, they involve actions. And there's a simple rule that we can all follow that allows us really to turn any story into an action story. And it's the idea of creating 3 actions for a story. And once you've taught people those 3 actions that kind of happen throughout a story, that means they're kind of involved throughout. And not only are they sitting there, but they are getting to be part of the story. And that's a great way to get people to pay attention. It's a great way to get people to listen and to have fun and to feel like they're involved in a service. And so we're going to think a little bit about this by listening to a story. And I'm going to get you guys involved in helping me think some actions up for this story. And so what I need you to do in a couple of seconds, you're going to pause the video and you're going to come up with 3 actions for me. And I need an action for wind and waves and rain. Okay, and the key thing about these actions that you come up with is they've got to be scalable. So they've got to be quiet at points and loud at other points. All right. So what I want you to do now is pause the video and come up with those 3 actions. Okay. I unfortunately can't see your actions, but I'm sure they're very, very good and very scalable, and that's important in this story. What I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you my actions, okay, so that we can tell a story together. And they're very simple. So for wind, what I need you to do is put your hands up in the air like this, and it's going to start as a gentle breeze, and we're going to go swoosh, 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 okay? And then it might get a little bit louder and a bit stronger. It might become a bit of a stiff breeze, so we're going to go swoosh, 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 and then it might be like a hurricane, and then it's going to be like swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Excellent. And we're going to do the same with rain. So could you wave your fingers at me like that up here, and you're going to go a drizzle to begin with. We're going to go pitter patter, pitter patter, pitter patter. It's going to get heavier, and we're going to go pitter patter, pitter patter, pitter patter. It's going to turn torrential, and we're going to go pitter patter, pitter patter, pitter patter. Excellent. And our last one is waves. We're going to put our hands together like this. They're going to be gentle waves to begin with, so we'll give a nice smile on our faces, and our nicest voices can we go splash, splash, splash. Very good. They get a bit bigger at some point, and we're going to go splash, splash, splash. They're going to become like tidal waves at another point, and we're going to go splash, splash, splash. Excellent. So we've gone over our 3 actions, the scalable actions, and what I need you all to do now is sit comfortably and get ready to join in with the story. Our story begins on a beach, and it is a beautiful day. The sun is shining in the sky. There is a very, very gentle breeze. So everyone, hands up. Here we go. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. And because there is this gentle breeze, that means against the shore, there are some very little waves lapping. So can we go splash, splash, splash? And that day on the beach, Jesus is there with his friends. And he's talking to a big crowd. And he talks, and the crowd listens, and he talks, and the crowd listens, and he talks. And the crowd listens because they love hearing from Jesus. Now, after a while, Jesus gets tired. Can we all do a bit of a stretching on? Can we all go, ugh? And he says to his friends, listen, I need a rest. Can we get in the boat and sail across to the other side? Now, Jesus has friends who are very used to sailing. They're fishermen, some of them. This is no problem. And so they get in the boat and they set sail. Now, out there on the water, the breeze has got a little bit stronger, but just a little bit. It's going swoosh, 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 which means the waves are definitely a bit more rocky, and they're going splash, splash, splash. And that means that the boat is rocking this way, and that way, and this way, and that way. And soon Jesus has fallen asleep. Can we do a big snore when I count to 3? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. And then Jesus' friends, the disciples, they notice something's gone wrong. They hold out their hands and they feel, oh drat, they feel some rain coming down. There's a bit of drizzle. Can we all go pitter patter, pitter patter, pitter patter? And the wind is now picking up a little bit more. It's going swoosh, 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 swoosh. And that means the waves, well, they're now proper wavy. They're going splash, 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 splash. And that means the boat is now rocking this way and that way and this way and that way. But still, Jesus is asleep. Here we go, everyone. 3, 2, 1, go. And then the rain really begins to fall down. It goes pitter-patter, 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 pitter-patter. And the wind is now blowing like a gale. It's going swoosh, 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 swoosh. And that means the waves now got really, really big. They're going splash, splash, splash. And that means the boat is being tossed this way and that way and this way and that way. But still, Jesus is asleep. 3, 2, 1, go. Shoo. Now, Jesus' friends, they're not worried. As I said, they're fishermen. They're used to being out bad weather. There's nothing to worry about until the moment it all goes wrong. And the rain begins to pour out the sky like it's like a waterfall. It's going pitter-patter, 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 pitter-patter. And the wind is blowing like a hurricane. It's going swoosh, 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 swoosh. And the waves are as big as houses, and they're going splash, 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 splash. And the boat is being tossed this way and that way and this way and that way. And the disciples, they're terrified. They're going, ah! But still, Jesus is asleep. Are we ready? 1, 2, 3. Shoo. Now Jesus' friends who are scared, they're going, ah! They run down the boat. Can we all run to the boat screaming? Can we go, ah! And they get to Jesus and they say, wake up, Jesus, wake up. We're going to drown. And Jesus, he wakes up and he sees the rain absolutely pouring down. He sees it going pitter-patter, pitter-patter, pitter-patter. And he can feel the wind blowing like a hurricane and going swoosh, 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 swoosh. And he can feel the waves rolling as they go splash, 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 splash. And Jesus says, be still. And the rain stops. And the wind stops. And the waves become still. And Jesus, he turns to his friends and he says, why were you so scared? Did you not know that I was with you? And Jesus' friends, they look at each other and they say, who is this man that even the wind and the waves obey him? And then they sail on to the other side. Give yourselves a big round of applause. So hopefully you enjoyed being part of that story. And maybe now you're thinking about how you can maybe use action stories in your own church services. And if that's the case, we've just got some simple tips for you. The first is remember that idea of 3 actions. And the reason why we suggest 3 actions is because it keeps things simple. It keeps things simple for the audience. They just have to remember 3 things. And that means they can really concentrate on doing those as well as possible. But also it's easier for you as well. Because you have to remember, not only are you going to be doing these actions throughout, but you've got to be thinking about how you're telling the story. And you've got to be thinking about that pacing and your volume and maybe the different voices you're going to use. And trying to balance that against remembering to do all the actions and having to pause and start for those actions. It can be quite tricky and it can disrupt the flow of your story. And so if you have 3 simple actions, it's a lot easier to kind of do that in a smooth way where you can really focus on getting the story told as well as possible. So what I would suggest in whatever story you're doing is you look through the story, you maybe find 3 common threads throughout the story where there are 3 actions you can kind of do again and again and again and again. So in the case of that story, obviously we had the weather, which kind of cycled around again and again. But in different stories might be a bit different. Maybe you're going to do 3 actions and 2 actions you use quite regularly, and then the 3rd action is for a big finale. It really depends on the story. But the kind of key thing, whatever storytelling, is that repetition is your friend. Obviously in the wind and the waves and the rain there, we had this loop, which we really did again and again and again, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's good for you because it allows you to kind of fall into a bit of a rhythm. So it's really good for your audience. You don't want to bore them, you don't want them to feel like we're just hearing the same thing again and again, but a routine and a rhythm means that they kind of know what's going on, and it gets them in a position where they're really confident about doing their actions because they know, oh yes, we're getting to the part of the story where we do this again. And so having a wee bit of a rhythm, a bit of a routine is a really nice way of kind of getting the audience to feel comfortable and want to participate. Now, you might have noticed I've been talking about just doing 3 actions, but actually in that story we just told, I did more than 3 actions. And there's 2 things for this. One is to bear in mind, I've told that story loads and loads and loads of times, so I'm really comfortable with it. And so when I started doing it, I just did 3 actions, and there was the weather. And as I've gone on, I've added a little bit more to it as I've gotten more comfortable. But also, how I add the actions in, it wasn't at the beginning of the story I taught you all the different actions what we're going to do. I taught you the 3 actions, I got you used to copying me. And so that's why in the story we start with the weather, and we have the gentle wind, and we have the waves, and people are used to just doing what I'm doing. And then we began to add some things in. And sometimes that was signaled, so we say 1, 2, 3, and we're going to snore together. It lets people know there was a new action. And sometimes actually I just began doing actions such as the rocking of the boat, where I went this way and that way, without even mentioning to the audience that they had to do it. But more often I find when I'm on stage doing that, the audience will join in anyway. And so you can add actions in, but it kind of comes to do with make sure that you aren't doing it in a way that disrupts how you tell a story, and you want to do it in a way that is comfortable for the audiences. So I would suggest start at really basic level with just 3 actions and focus on your pacing and your delivery and those 3 actions. And as you get more comfortable telling action stories, maybe you want to add some things in and do things a bit differently and actually have the audience participate in lots of different ways. But it's good fun and it's worth experimenting and having lots of different tries at that. And so, yeah, I guess it's just time to say go out and give it a go. And we will see you in our next video to have a think a little bit about writing and how we can all write our own stories.